30 to 40 at the inbound Lincoln, 30 at the inbound Holland off the Skyway, better off the Newark Bay extension of the New Jersey Turnpike, and the Queenstown, Whitestone, Throgs Neck, and RFK with plenty of company out of the Bronx into Queens. Now the Odyssey Lottery recap presented by Jackpocket. Powerball is now $1.55 billion, and Mega Millions is now $20 million. Order official state lottery games on your phone. Must be 18 or older to play. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY. I'm Greg Rice, 1010 Wins on 92.3 FM.
Be it here in the States, overseas, from all pockets of the world, people are going, this just doesn't seem real. Stories of seeing kids kidnapped, others reporting seeing people shot right before their eyes, all stemming from the violence in the Middle East today. Israel formally declaring war tonight, pledging to retaliate against Hamas for what the Israeli defense minister called a surprise attack on Saturday. And tonight, we're also hearing more from the White House.
President Biden said Monday afternoon that at least 11 Americans are among those killed in Israel, calling it, quote, heart-wrenching. The president in a statement says, quote, these families have been torn apart by inexcusable hatred and violence. Mr. Biden also says his administration believes it is likely that American citizens may be among those held hostage by Hamas. He says he's directed his team to work with Israeli counterparts on every aspect of the hostage crisis, including sharing intelligence and deploying experts from across the U.S. government to consult with and advise the Israelis on hostage recovery efforts. Karen Travers, ABC News, Washington.
And then this, a report that Hamas is threatening the lives of Israeli civilians.
Militants say they're holding more than 130 Israeli soldiers and civilians and are threatening to kill a civilian anytime Israel targets Gaza civilians in their homes without prior warning.
Israel has traditionally been very sensitive to hostage taking, so it's unclear how the presence of hostages changes Israeli calculations.
Mideast expert John Alterman at the Center for Strategic and International Studies says Israel essentially has a script for how to take on militants in Gaza.
Except for the hostage element,
it's unclear how many Americans are being held. The State Department says at least 9 U.S. citizens were killed in the weekend attacks. Sagar Magani, Washington.
And the update, of course, to that, as we mentioned, that number is up to 11 now, is what they're saying. And then back here at home, protests both on the Israeli side and on the pro-Palestinian side of the conflict. First, that pro-Palestinian rally at the Israeli consulate today.
First, I spoke with Mohammed Abed, a Palestinian whose entire family is in the West Bank.
We've been fused for 75 years, and we've been saying to the whole world, let's stop abusing our children, let's stop killing our children.
Then I crossed the street and was speaking with Libby Zelakowitz about her recent experience living in Israel.
I'm just at a loss of words.
When a group of Palestinian supporters led by Mohammed marched down the block and splashed hot coffee on him.
For you to come here and throw coffee in our face and try to assault us in a place where we belong and free people belong and people who believe in the humanity of any person, for you to come here and support a terrorist organization is beyond my understanding.
No shortage of passion, energy, and unrelenting confidence and pride on both sides. Mac Rosenberg, 1010 Wins on 92.3 FM in Midtown.
And then, of course, we had the vigil held outside the Queens Library in Kew Gardens for the missing and dead. Reporter Marla Diamond was there for that.
The horror of the attacks hit home for this crowd with family and friends in Israel, including Noam Gilbour, the interim CEO of the Jewish Community Relations Council of New York.
Professor who taught me everything I know about Israel, that his son and daughter-in-law were murdered in their home by a terrorist while they shielded their son underneath them.
Elected officials said Israel has the right to defend itself. Congresswoman Grace Meng pledging full support.
To help ensure this year's inclusion of the full $3.8 billion in security assistance.
She also called on the government to charter planes to get Americans stuck in Israel home. Marla Diamond, 1010 Wins on 92.3 FM in Kew Gardens, Queens.
And we invite you to stay with 1010 Wins throughout the evening for the very latest updates from Gaza. Well, we did have some brighter news on this Monday to tell you about. New Yorkers celebrating Columbus and Indigenous Peoples Day in the city. The 79th annual Columbus Day Parade stepping off the curve on 5th Avenue today.
The air is cool and crisp as Italian Americans once again celebrated the man who was credited with the discovery of America, Christopher Columbus, back in 1492. Among the marchers, Michael Polo, national president of the Order Sons and Daughters of Italy in America.
It's a visionary that Christopher Columbus was in helping found our country, and brings us our heritage and our culture together. And our organization, which is the oldest and largest, we're 118 years old, and so we come together every year for Christopher Columbus and Italian Heritage Month.
Italian immigrants were instrumental in building New York, putting up the buildings. They were masons and carpenters and plumbers. They opened up so many restaurants, it seems, on every corner. We've heard songs like Volare and Ave Maria over and over again. It was beautiful. Carol Diori, 1010 Wins, at 92.3 FM on 5th Avenue.
Also tonight, members of the Writers Guild ratifying their new contract, officially ending the second longest strike in the union's history. 99% of union members voted in favor of the deal. The 3-year deal calls for streaming residuals, minimum staffing requirements for TV shows, and it regulates the use of artificial intelligence. Been a lot of talk about AI lately, right? Meantime, negotiations continue between the actors as well as the Hollywood studios. Winters, here's to another hopeful night. Yeah, Powerball up to $1.55 billion now. If you win it, you'll get